Could be seated.
No individual legal advice. Did Mike get in trouble or?
Important stuff.
No, right.
They're working things out.
Yeah, very good.
It's
Good afternoon and a happy Valentine's Day. Welcome to the February 14th, 2019 OPPD board meeting. We're first going to have our safety briefing from Mr. Burke.
Great, thank you very much. Most of you came in one of the four exits. There's two in the back of the room and two in the front of the room. If we need to exit this building, security will direct us out and direct us out on the 16th Street side. If we need to exit out of the building, if for some reason we need to be sheltered in the building, we will be asked to move to a sheltered area on the west side of the building, down in the garage area. If there is a fire, please don't use the elevators. If you use the steps, or if we're directed outside on the Harney Street side. But if you use the steps, make sure you use your three-point touch, one hand on the railing, 2 feet on the ground. Fire extinguishers are right outside this door and just around the corner. There's also one in the kitchen area as well. If you have a medical condition, please write it down or tell your neighbor. And the AED and the first aid kit are one on top of each other as you go into the atrium area before you get into the cafeteria. On the blonde brick wall, one on top of each other is the AED and the first aid kit. And is anybody here certified in the use of an AED or in CPR? All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. I believe that's it. In the event of an emergency, Rod, will you have direct your staff to call 911?
Will do.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. That concludes my safety briefing.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. My name is Ann McGuire, and I represent Subdivision 2, and this year I'll serve as chair of the board. Since this is sort of our first time we've had this whole board together with the new executive board, I thought I'd better introduce everybody. To my right is Amanda Bogner. She represents Subdivision 1. Subdivision 3 is Mr. Gay, Tim Gay. He represents Subdivision 3. Mr. Rick Yoder represents Subdivision 4. And Vice Chair Craig Moody represents Subdivision 5. Director Eric Williams represents Subdivision 6. Director Janice Malhoff represents Subdivision 7. And Director Mike Kavanaugh represents Subdivision 8. And I was remiss in not noting that Mr. Yoder is secretary this year.
Mr. Gay's treasurer, right?
Seated to my immediate left is OPPD President and CEO Tim Burke, who already spoke. And to my right is someone I'd like to officially welcome to OPPD. This is Ms. Mo Henners. She's the Senior Corporate Governance Specialist who will act as our Assistant Secretary and record the minutes of the meeting. Welcome, Mo. We're happy you're here.
Happy to be here.
Okay, now let's run through a list of our guidelines for conduct of the meeting. First and foremost, please silence your electronic devices. This regular board meeting will follow the agenda made available to the public upon entering the meeting. This meeting is streaming live on the internet at oppd.com. Our regular board meetings have public comment periods on the agenda. Following board discussion on each pending matter, I will ask public comment before bringing the matter to a vote. Also, prior to adjournment of the meeting, you'll have an opportunity to comment on any OPPD matters. If you wish to speak, please approach the microphone to your far left and state your name and address and state the name of any organization or person you're representing. Organizations should choose one representative to speak on their behalf so as to avoid repetitive commentary. Comments made by all parties during the meeting are a part of the official public record. Each individual will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending at the discretion of the board. To assist you, we use a red light, green light indicator to ensure each member of the public receives a consistent amount of time. Ms. Henners will signal you when 30 seconds remain, as well as when time is up. Please direct your comments to me, not to other board members or the executive team. I will either then respond to you directly or defer a response to another board member or officer of the district. If you have brought written materials, Ms. Henners will gladly receive them on our behalf. Ms. Henners, now can you take roll call, please?
Bogner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Here.
Gay,
Here.
McGuire,
Here.
Mulhoff,
Yes.
Moody,
Yep.
Williams,
Here.
Yoder.
Yes.
Announcement regarding public notice of meeting. Notice of the time and place of this meeting was publicized by notifying the area news media, by publicizing same in the Omaha World Herald and outlets, by displaying such notice on the arcade level of Energy Plaza since February 8th, 2019, and by mailing such notice to each of the district's directors on the same date. A copy of the proposed agenda for this meeting has been maintained on a current basis and is readily available for public inspection in the office of the district's corporate secretary. Additionally, a copy of the open meetings law is available for inspection in the public meeting book located in this meeting room. Board consent action items. The consent agenda items are as follows. Agenda item number 5. Approval of the January 17, 2019 board meeting minutes and the February 14, 2019 agenda. Agenda item 6, street light conversion, street light conversion project, resolution number 6306. Agenda item 7, energy management system project, resolution number 6307. Agenda item 8, bylaws amendment, resolution number 6308. Agenda item 9, board standing committee assignments, resolution number 6309. Agenda item 10, change June board meeting date, resolution number 6310. And finally, agenda item 11, SD1 strategic foundation monitoring report, resolution number 6311. If there are no corrections, changes, or additions to these items, I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items.
Thank you, Ms. Henners. I believe there are some,
So moved.
I think there are some comments first.
We
that
need a
people
motion in
like
a second.
Yeah, we have a so move in a second, okay. Thank you. Now, I think we do have some people who would like to comment. Is there someone who wants to comment on the streetlight first?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to commend the district for the LED streetlight upgrade program. I worked at the Office of Sustainable Development that helped to implement Department of Energy funding for the traffic signal upgrade, and that showed tremendous savings in energy, which was returned to the city of Omaha, as well as a decrease in maintenance. And so I'm very glad to see this program moving forward. I think this brings a lot of benefit to both OPPD and the jurisdictions that operate those streetlights. And so thanks very much for getting this done to the staff. This is a great program. I'm very excited about it, and I understand that some of those are already being implemented now. And so, if you see a new street light and it looks a little bit different, a little different color, a little bit more energy efficient, that's part of this program, and I'm very excited about it. So, thanks very much for getting this done to the staff. This is wonderful.
Are there any other comments? Ms. Gardner?
I was going to comment on item number 7, the energy management system. I commend Troy's team for putting together the detailed information that we were able to review during the subcommittee meeting as well as the committee meeting. It's definitely a much needed project and very important to the operations of OPPD. I just want to reiterate that as we are selecting a contractor to help with that project or the software that we're going to use for that project. So it's imperative to future OPPD operations that it be flexible enough to consider distributed energy resources and electric vehicles and other technological advances that we'll see on our system over the coming years.
So,
Any other comments?
did you want to go? I just wanted to echo what the two other directors have said, and I think it's the management team has done an excellent job in both of these examples. I really like for the street light, well, and for all the other things that you do as well. But in these two examples of what we're talking about, the street light conversion process, the one thing I'd like to tease out and make public and underscore is the change in how we are judging what is a good cost project. We took, as it was explained to me, we now understand and are starting to value more fully the cascading and system impacts and putting some more money back in the pockets of our customers as we do this. And I think that echoes, of course, what happens when we do renewable energy and choose to site renewable energy in our own state. We have cascading and system impacts, and those are choices we don't have to make, and yet we do, and I think that's fantastic. Thank you.
Any other comments on any of the other items?
Yeah, I just want to make one quick comment on SD1 Strategic Foundation. So that is our mission, vision, values, which in many ways sort of guide everything that we do. So it's an important time for us to sort of do some self-reflection on how the last 12 months have been. I wanted to commend the team that put that together because it's a beast. It's difficult because you're essentially reflecting on all of the other strategic directives and trying to summarize that in a digestible way. And it's a lot to parse through. So I want to thank you for that work because I know that that's difficult to take this much information and boil it down, but I thought it was really well done.
It's sort of like an audit on all of the strategic directives, a full-time audit, and that's not easy. Yeah, that's much appreciated. Any other comments? And we can have a vote. Are there any comments from the public? Excuse me. You have to remember our public here.
Hi, I'm Laverne Tran, 49th Chicago. On the light conversion, I remember when you were looking at the heads, they came in and brought you examples, and they said that the new ones would be smart grid ready as soon as you were ready. Is that still true?
Yeah, I would say this, they certainly have smart grid or communication capability. They're not being installed with it today because there's not a capability. We are having conversations with the city and the smart grid committee that's working through some of that. But we didn't want to put the technology in and then have the technology and the cost of that technology, then have it be replaced before there was really a solution or a pilot that the city or the county or others may do around that. So it does have that capability, and that's the reason why we picked that system to be able to do that.
I just wanted to keep bragging about that, that's all.
Well, thank
Thanks,
you.
Laverne.
Thank you for bragging for us.
Thanks, Laverne. We always like it when you come up and brag for us. Any other comments? Okay, Ms. Henners, you may call the roll.
Bogner,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Mulhoff,
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Okay. Next, I believe, we have the miscellaneous items, which is the president's report.
I've been resolved to the miscellaneous items. Very good. Thank you very
Yeah,
much. So
well,
we'll give you
blame
a.
that on Ms. Henners, right?
Yeah, there we go. No, she's doing a great job. I'll talk a little bit about our baseload generation in this first slide here. Nebraska City 1 and 2 capacity factor in the month of January, we're in the 73 to 69%. Much of that has to do with just a soft market. Load today is about 1,450 megawatts. Peak load during the summer is 2,800 megawatts, typical on a hot summer day. So you get that opportunity, very soft market. And it's an opportunity for us to do some work on those units as well. Units 4 and 5, kind of the same factor on those, primarily due to just soft markets. Some days where we had to take them off for several hours, some several days, just to do some work as we prepare for the spring. I will share under this slide here, and we haven't done this before, our peaking generation. We never really talked about our peaking generation in this slide, and I'm going to begin to kind of raise that up on the number of hours that our peakers ran. Now, it's the accumulation of all of our peakers that we have, which is about 6 or 7 peakers, and they ran about 68 hours over the course of January, and we're seeing that for resiliency, load, balancing requirements in the market, or whatever may be going in at that point in time in the market and the impacts of that. So we're going to start reporting that coming up on the hours our peakers are operating in any given month. On the renewable side, renewable energy contributed to 29.5% of our OPPD retail sales with a wind capacity factor of about 40%. We typically see that in the 50% range. In some cases where we have too much wind, those have to shut down for the protection of those systems. But we're seeing good contributions today. Right before this meeting, I think we're at 52% of the energy generated from OPPD was coming from renewable resources, wind resources. So that gives you a sense. Now, I sent a picture to the board, I don't know, three or 4 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
about 3 weeks
It was like 70% of the energy being generated. We did have a plant off, but 70% of the energy generated was coming from wind. But then about 4 hours later, 1% was. So there is that balance, and that's why we have the peakers doing the things that they do. So we'll continually see that ramp up, especially as the board was reported by Mary Fisher, the interconnection has occurred with our Shoals project, and so we'll see that energy come into our system later this spring and summer. So the next slide is about, it's really around one of our core values, care for each other. And this is, we're kind of a humble group, believe it or not. We don't like to brag, but this is some really great work that's going on in the organization, across the organization, from the management team to the non-management team to our collective bargaining leaders and the work that we're doing together. OPPD was identified by Quantum as the recipient of the Employee Choice Award. We were one of 7 companies across the United States with some of the highest increases in employee engagement, and that gave us the opportunity to receive that award, and we're in the company size of about 1,000 to 5,000 employees. So just a great recognition for the great work that's going on here at OPPD with our employees, and it's a good recognition from our employees of the great work that they do. And then right before this board meeting, I didn't have a slide for that, but I did tweet it, and it's on my Facebook site. And so is our rededication of our reimagined Wall of Honor. And it's some great work that our Veterans Network here at OPPD really wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to honor and display the men and women who served in the United States Armed Services. Some of those employees have retired, some of those employees have passed away, a lot of active employees that are on that board, and we're going to continually expand that out as the board heard by Sean Frazier, who's the vice chair of our Veterans Network. We're going to have four boards, so a lot of employees that'll be recognized around that, and then we're going to do individual recognition by centers and displays by centers. It's really important just to show the courage and the honor and the great work that they've done. So that was done just right before this meeting, but it's a great opportunity to talk a little bit about it. And some things that are going on in the community. It's really about honoring our community, and it's an opportunity for us to raise funds to help support those families and individuals that may have difficulty paying electric bills due to a number of different circumstances. But on March 2nd at Stinson Park at Exarban Village, it'll start at 9 o'clock, is our Heat the Streets Run and Walk for Warmth. You can register at heatthestreetsomaha.org. And the registration ends February 26th, it looks like. The early bird pricing is gone. I gave you that warning a couple months ago. So you got to pay full rate now. So anyway, it's just a great opportunity. You'll see families there. People will bring, their dogs and some animals, no zoo animals, but animals with them for that walk. Just a great opportunity to raise money, and they'll raise over $100-some thousand to help support the funding for energy assistance across this community. And finally, just as our focus is on safety, I want to talk about an individual, Dwayne Wilson. He was a lineman who died on July 22nd, 1968. Dwayne died on that date from injuries sustained when a pole he was helping to remove toppled and fell on him. The crew was removing a line near 8th and Douglas Street in Omaha to prepare for dismantling the old Exarban Bridge. Dwayne was 26 years old at the time and was an apprentice who had only been with the company for about 13 months at the time of his death, and he was survived by his wife, Beverly. And with that, that concludes the President's report.
Thank you very much. That was excellent. Now we have opportunity for comment on other items of district business, if anyone is from the public would like to speak.
John Pollock, 1412 North 35th Street. Well, I understand we have at least one person on the board who likes to cross-country ski, and the good news is that we're going to have an extended opportunity this year. we're going to be having quite a bit of winter left. The pattern that we're in now is one that we've got a large ridge of high pressure aloft that's been persistent from the Pacific up toward the Gulf of Alaska. That brings a series of storms in on the west coast. It also pulls a bunch of cold air in Western Canada and gives us periodic surges. So we're going to be looking for continued well below normal temperatures for at least the next several weeks, interrupted briefly ahead of storms when temperatures get back near normal, but not for very long. And once again, we'll be getting a series of storms, mostly snow because it's going to stay cold. I don't see any particularly large storms for the next week, but after that, there's always the possibility that something will really cut loose. We don't really know that one yet. The two other hazards we have to watch for in this type of pattern are icing, if enough warm air gets into a system aloft, and the other is that if we persist into early, particularly mid-March, we have the potential for river flooding. Missouri, not so much because it's such a large river system and it's not frozen over, but any of the tributaries, Platte, Elkhorn, all of those can ice up, and then if we get a sudden rapid snow melt, and we don't have a lot of water content in the snow yet, but it's going to be building up, that can give us problems. 1993 comes to my mind. That was the year the Platte River flooded and shut Route 80. So it was this type of late winter when that occurred. So that's it for that. I'm going to be curious to see what color
30 seconds.
those new streetlights are, because I must say that I never really cared for the orange glow on the sodium vapor lights.
I don't think you have to worry about orange glow.
No, yeah. What color are they? Are they more of a blue
It's
or what
very,
are
it's
they?
a very white. It's a very, very striking, beautiful white. Some people listen to each other.
Beautiful.
Again, Laverne Train, 49th to Chicago. And this is where I complain. So I brought you some studies, the Winning the Oil End Game, which you should read. The Sierra Club backdoor subsidies for coal in the Southwest Power Pool, and that's what I'll be discussing about. Also brought you the State of the Market from the Southwest Power Pool 2017, and some other stuff. But anyway, two things I'm really upset by. I'd really like to show you some coal plant video that I shot the other day, but I can't because I don't have access to these screens. At the beginning of each meeting, you could tell us to go give us our media to the guy in back, and he could analyze it and make sure it's appropriate for our speeches. Been doing it for 40 years. I've never had access for this. That was one of the complaints I've had at the old board. Another thing I presented to the other board was asking them if they were operating the coal plant unprofitably at particular times of the day, because on the SPP we do trading. And they told me it was proprietary information. Well, here I am today with that proprietary information, I guess. In the year, the study was done from 2015, 2018. It's in here. You can read it later. In the year 2016 was our worst year. We lost $100,000 each month, and we lost $1 million for that year running the coal plants. So instead of running renewable or purchasing cheaper renewable or running those gas plants that are supposed to be cheaper and cleaner that we've never run except for once in a blue moon, we've been running coal plants. I'm having to subsidize it because you're losing money on the SPP. That was that year. 2018, 2017 numbers are going to be coming out in the next 6 months. You can contact the guy. I did this morning. That's where I got the numbers. I just called him, the author of the study. He's a very nice guy, and I asked him to pull the OPPD numbers. I asked him that in November, and then he was able to give them to me today. And this was my Valentine's gift to you, to let you know that you're not operating those power plants profitably. You're basically making me pay to pollute the environment, and you're constantly running those North Omaha plants. If you're not going to run the gas plants, then why'd you put them up? And it makes me really upset that you have not run those gas plants. Oh, 10% of the year. Well, when we convert the last two, we're not going to run those two? Just going to run the ones that we have, the other coal plants that we got? So these are my questions I'd like somebody to answer. Why are the gas plants not being run? They're cleaner. They're supposed to be cheaper. Coal plants being run unprofitably. Facts are here. The truth is in.
30 seconds.
Thank you. I'd really wish that you guys would deal with this. Shut down the coal plant in North Omaha. Shut it down, shut it down, shut it down. I'm gonna use my last 10 seconds to tell you again to shut the dang thing down. It's not profitable and it's polluting North Omaha. And this winter, we watched the pollution just come right down onto the neighborhood. You know why? Because it was really cold and because you have air inversions. You're killing North Omaha people.
Time.
Thank you. Have a good day. I was hoping you guys have some emergency services.
We do, we're medically trained, we can help. I will just share, I will just share a couple things. One, you know, we bid our energy into the market as we're required to in SPP, and SPP tells us which of our generation plants we should operate into the market. Those plants into the market are the cheapest plants. I will take a look at the study. I would not believe that information because our information would be different than that. The reason why we don't operate the gas plants today is that the gas plants are more expensive to operate today. And today would be a great example. In some cases, we will not be able to have gas capability. Those gas plants are there because of our capacity requirement that we're required to have, which is 12% over our peak load. And so we're required to have that capacity available within our system and within our SPP RTO.
2 words, economic dispatch. That's what I was told that you need to do. So allow economic dispatch, not.
It is economic
Well,
dispatch.
you just got done saying you have to call in.
Well, but
You
then they
predict.
determine the economics. We don't determine the economics. So
Yeah.
we'll look at the information.
Oh, yeah, here it is. I'm trying to give it to you.
Be careful, please walk slowly.
handicapped people.
What's going
on? One more thing we can
Walk slowly.
3-point touch.
Yeah, 3-point touch, that's what we should teach him, you're right. Thank you. Thank you, Janice.
There is a railing.
Are there any other comments? If not, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day.